Night Live just got real. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How y'all doing out there, folks? We are back. We are live, and yeah, Saturday Night Live with a difference. We won't just spend the next couple of hours bashing the most powerful man in America like they do on that Saturday Night Live. I've got Scotty Lopez here with me. How you doing, man?
What's up? Well, it is another weekend.
It is,
so,
it? Fairly comes round pretty quick, right?
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, I think that has to do a lot with the whole time acceleration thing that we've been talking about lately. It just seems like the weeks just fly by like that, and next thing you know, the next weekend is upon us, and then so on and so forth, and it just these cycles seem to go seem to come and go pretty quick now, man.
You think about it, Scott. Next weekend, I mean, this is our last live streams this weekend for August. We're already going into September. And I'm sitting out the back today and I'm thinking, right, not the worst of summers, really nice day today. And then I'm thinking, hang on a minute. Before we know it, it's going to be autumn. And then we're going to be approaching Christmas again. And I know they say when you get older, man, time flies and stuff like that. But come on, you've been ridiculous here. This is different, right? Not that we're old, Scott.
Yeah, there's something more to this than just getting old, man. It's
nonsense, man.
It is. It just seems like summer is just pretty much almost gone. Like you said, we're already almost into fall. That's crazy. It seems like 2019 just started.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's just wow. Yeah, I don't know.
And are you going to be joining me for this year's big day in September anniversary on KBS, Scott? I've got Charlie Robinson coming on that day. Definitely a simulcast day, that one, You know how I love to annoy the algorithm and things like that, right?
Yeah, the algorithm is going to be going absolutely ballistic that day, because I'm sure it's not just going to be us talking about it. It's going to be a lot of people talking about it. But yes, if you would like me to join you that day with Charlie.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
I will join you guys, and we will refresh everyone's memory on that. And
I like it. You know what? Again, we keep coming back to the fact that we're really noticing a lot of new people coming to the information. And I think when you've been doing it this long, you just assume that everyone's seen the same amount of stuff as you have, and everyone's up to the same speed, but they're not. So that's why it's really good to go back and I've never spoke to Charlie about that day before. So, if we get somebody different every year, Scott, at least then it keeps it fresh, because it's like everything else. Nobody knows exactly what happened that day. And anyone that tells you they did, well, either they were working with the cabal, or they might just be telling porkies. What would you say, Scotty?
All I got to say is that what the official story was told to the public is not what happened. And so that's pretty much all you need to know. I mean, we were lied to. We were lied to, and something much...
Say it isn't so, man.
The government lying to the to the public.
Imagine that. You like my little trigger warning I've got today? I decided to put it in because I realise a lot of the shows in recent times have been triggering people, Scott. So in this day and age, I think I should come with some kind of trigger warning. So anyone out there easily offended, I'm probably not going to be your cup of tea. In fact, I'm definitely not going to be your cup of tea. But if you're not easily offended, I reckon we can probably get along pretty damned well. And before we get into this cornucopia of information we've got tonight, like that big word, Scott, right? Let me just remind people, because we have been taking on the algorithm and not paying it much heed lately, all that cases and stories we've been covering with various guests like Charlie Robinson, Sean Atwood, things like that. If you would like to support the channel, you can get yourself a membership, or you can support via the Super Chat. And today on Super Chat, as Scotty knows, we have got a new addition to the Super Chat. We have got Brian. Brian is our new Super Chat announcer. So a big warm welcome to Brian. Yep. You've probably heard Brian before.
Yes. I'm. If any of you are familiar with voice to text or text to voice speech, Brian, he's the best one. he's the one that yeah, we've got the best chat bot to announce stuff for us. So yeah, if you feel like dropping something in super chat, do that so we can get Brian going.
And listen, and for all you ladies out there, get this, right? Because we all like to have a laugh and a joke about me and my kilt and my caber and stuff like that. Later on in the show today, there's a potential you might be seeing half-naked Scotsmen. Isn't there, Scott? Is there? There's a slight chance there might be a half-naked Scotsman comes into the show.
Maybe.
Look at Scott; he's looking disturbed already. Scott has got the face of a man that's already seen the half-naked Scotsman, and now everyone's thinking out there, "Oh my God, Kev didn't violate Scott on camera, did he? He didn't like meeting two veg out Anthony Weiner him, did he?"
I think we need to we need to go ahead and just get it out of the way. No, it was not Kev. That was the half-naked Scotsman. No.
Oh, that's a horrible thought. Indeed, we'd have to put it 18 plus if we had that going on, Scotty boy. And even then, there's some things you can't unsee, right?
Exactly. And believe me, if that was the case, I probably would have been too traumatized to even do the show.
And probably would have fallen out with me at the time as well, I would hope. So just wouldn't be here.
I'd be like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm violated. You gave me PTSD. I need to go find a safe space.
Oh, don't do safe spaces. Now you're going to trigger me, see? Triggered on Twitter this weekend, so I was not triggered. I sometimes feel that, and I know I shouldn't, but it's like a guilty pleasure to like retweet idiots. There's no other way to put it, dude. I'm sorry, but
yeah, you have my same sort of impulses, social media impulses. We like to stir the pot. Let's just put it that way.
Like a social media hand grenade. That's how I like to view myself. In there, launch something, start all the trouble, start all the debate, and just never go back, dude. Just leave them to it, man. Move on. Look for the next trouble you can cause.
Yes, back away and view the shit show from afar.
Absolutely. So then, are we ready to get into this? Because I think we've got a real selection of stories tonight and some real interesting stuff that could be set to impact us all. Now, I have followed the channel, as has Scott, and as have a lot of you out there, but if you haven't, the channel is called Suspicious Observers. Now, Ben Davidson is the guy's name here, and he is really, really well clued up on all things space weather, sun, solar cycles, volcanoes, earthquakes. I would defer the earthquakes to Dutch Synths, but when it comes to the space weather stuff, Ben's your man. And I think, Scott, don't the two go hand in hand, really? I mean...
Yes, they do. I was about to say, basically what you just said, Ben Davidson, he's the Dutch sense of space.
Yeah.
They both are amazing in their fields of what they do and the stuff they research. And you're right, they do go hand in hand because then, I think it was Suspicious Observer, Ben Davidson and Suspicious Observers that made the correlation and started doing the research into space weather affecting earthquakes.
Yep.
And trigger, and then Dutch Sense, followed up on that information and was like, yeah, that makes sense, and so I think the two of them complement each other extremely well. And I think that, yeah, both of them are channels that people should follow, no doubt.
Big time.
So,
and this here, I mean, this is big news. I think it's big news. Myself and Scott are going to discuss it on the other side. But this is about something coming from the Galactic Center. Take a listen to this.
And now for our top news. It was August 7th when we broke the story about the center of the galaxy, surging in infrared brightness. We've come back to the topic 3 times already to review and describe how we want to watch for X-rays and UV spikes next, which would indicate a galactic superwave eruption. But today, that same group of researchers from August 7th is doubling down. They've used some of the most complex data recovery processes imaginable to eke out literally an extra decade of galactic center infrared brightness data. and it's not great news. In that extra decade, there was virtually no moves into brightness or quiescence. It was steady as she goes, looking all the way back, which puts perspective on the importance of the infrared surges that have taken place this year. And technically, this must put us on higher alert for those X-rays and UV signatures from the center of the galaxy. If we see the light, the disaster then begins.
I don't like that ominous finish there from Ben, because he's not the kind of character to hype anything up. And when you hear about these energies, the increase in infrared, which, as he says there, Scott, is something that hasn't changed over time. And he says the potential for X-rays, and I think it was ultraviolet as well. But I believe you may have already reported one of these stories when Ben was talking about he's done 1, 2, or 3 updates already. Because you were talking about bright flashes from the Galactic Center at one point.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week on Freaky Friday is when I brought the story up. Because it was on one of these science websites that I tend to look at. I think it was like either space.com or something like that. But they were talking about how they had detected these bright flashes coming from the center of the galaxy, the supermassive black hole, that's supposedly at the center of every galaxy, right? So our galaxy would have one as well.
Sagittarius A, I believe that's what they refer to it as.
Yeah, and so they were picking up these bright flashes, and they caught the tail end of one. They said that the flash had the peak of it had already occurred, and that they were kind of picking up the tail end of it. So it was actually much brighter than what they had even detected. So obviously something's going on at the center of the galaxy. This supermassive black hole probably has ingested a bunch of stars.
Well, Scott, you've got Patrick in the chat room as well. Sorry to cut you off, man. But he says a grand solar minimum, increase in cosmic rays, heavy rainfall, earthquakes, volcanic activity. Now, this grand solar minimum, that was something that our mutual friend, Nancy, kind of talked to me about a number of months ago. And I started looking at that, Scott, and this grand solar minimum thing. You see, this is the interesting part for me, because you've got this going on at the Galactic Center, and then you've also got the potential for this grand solar minimum on our star. But at the same time as all of that, let's not forget as well, the shields are down. Not entirely, but the Earth's magnetic field is in shit state. It's like chopped up bits of spaghetti up there instead of that usual protective kind of we can see it here on the picture, right? That usually that magnetosphere and things that bounces all the cosmic rays off. That doesn't look much like that anymore, Scott.
No, it's interesting. It's almost like we have a perfect storm.
We've got an incoming, but before we get to the incoming, I want to give a shout out to R. Pearson. He says, or she says, thanks you all. And if you do want to chip in to PayPal, that would be very, very much appreciated. And look up the top of the screen there. We'll need to get a noise for that one. Tiffany Billieu has become a new member on the channel. And I think I'll need to be checking when we go to one of the breaks here, even though we don't have a break. But it sounded good, Scott, right? Sounded like we were professional there. But I think we might be getting close to a new emoji, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I haven't decided. Should we have like Joe in the blue dress, since he let us down again this week?
Would it translate over so well into a 32 by 32?
Probably not.
Thing?
Probably not.
We have to think of something that.
Tiffany, don't you dare say thank you to me and Scott. We thank you. Damn.
Yeah, thank you. You're the one that you're the one helping us out.
Yeah, there's a lot of love going on in the chat room today. That's what I like about this chat here as well. I don't know. I look at other chats, not to knock other chats, but seems to be, touch wood, Scott. We've got pretty good crew here. Not that we want to end up with some cult-like following where we all sing off the same song sheet as Kevin Scott, but at the same time, very happy with it. Because that's one of the major fears about live streaming, right? You get a bunch of asshats and you're chatting, you end up just speaking about that all night. That's not good juju, man.
The passengers are quite happy on the USS KBS.
Oh, I like that. I like that, man. I like it. Yep. Definitely. I'm going to have to pimp out Star Trek or something now, dude. Definitely, man.
Yes.
But Scott, this story as well, right? Got me thinking back to some real good days. Back when the truth community was young and naive and we were all skipping along and holding hands and we were going to fix the world. Yeah, you guessed it, pre-2012. Now, the Mayans, 2012, stuff like that. Huge. Everyone was talking about it. You didn't have to be a conspiracy theorist to know that something was rumoured to be happening around that time period. And it's around that time period that's key. Because I remember listening to certain researchers out there, whether they were like approaching the date and starting to hedge their bets or not, I don't know. But they were saying, listen, 2012 is just a date that we put on that. We're looking at a window, a period of time that could be anywhere from 2007 all the way out to something like 2020. Because we ourselves are traversing that galactic plane. You know, if you think of the Milky Way sitting on its side and looking at it, we're going from either the north into the south or south into the north. So, I mean, it's all seeming kind of lining up at the right time. The same, I don't know, Scott. There's something almost maybe in our ancestral DNA about something that might come from space in the future. The ancients knew it. And I think it's encoded into us, and that's why when we see stories like this, maybe it's not everyone, but some of us, it rings a bell, right?
Exactly. You know, and like I said, it seems like we're approaching this period of time where everything is kind of lining up conveniently, I guess you could say, or just you know, we've got this activity coming from the center of the galaxy. We've entered this sort of new age, I guess you could say, right? We're traversing the galactic plane. We've entered, was it the age of Aquarius now? I think that's what the 2012 stuff really represented, right? The Mayan calendar. It was just representing that we were going to move into a new cycle. So, you know, it wasn't like end of the world stuff or anything like that. So we're entering into this new phase, this new cycle. The sun is going through, you know, solar minimum. The magnetic poles look like they might be lining up to flip. It's just kind of a perfect storm of different things that are kind of coming together, and you know, how's that all going to play out? I don't know. All I know is that whatever is emanating from the center of the galaxy, that is the big stuff, right? I mean, because that would have the greatest effect on everything. That would even affect our sun. You know what I mean? The supermassive black hole in the center of our galaxy dictates all. That dictates everything that goes on in the galaxy, because everything rotates around that. That's the main, that's the head hombre, you know. And then if you start going down to the micro, then it would be our sun. Our sun would be the next major player, right? And then down from the sun, it would be like our magnetic field. Our magnetic poles, you know, stuff that occurs here on Earth. But all of it is tied together, right? So the galactic center affects the sun affects the Earth. The magnetic field of the Earth obviously affects everything on the Earth, you know. So it's all tied together, and it just looks like everything's lining up for a no bueno situation coming down the road. I don't know. I'm definitely gonna have to start following.
Come on, Scott. As you know, as Ben says, eyes open, no fear.
Eyes open, no fear. Exactly,
dude. That's how you tackle this. It is, but I look at this as well and more speculatory here. Okay, But I don't think this will be the first time we've ever had some kind of galactic superwave. And I sometimes wonder if this is what comes along and upgrades the DNA, mutates the DNA. And we often talk about the simulation. You know, it's almost like an upgrade, a new software pack. And this is how it's delivered. And how interesting that it's delivered in light. You know, it's light that delivers all of this information that will wreak havoc on the planet in some sense. However, it could regenerate and produce 2.0 kumbaya land on the other side, you know? It's not the end of anything when these cycles come along. It's just a new upgrade. 2.0 to 3.0, software pack, firmware update. You look at it how you will.
Yeah, I mean, we really don't know what's going to happen, right? We haven't been around really for one of these events, at least as far as I know.
And Scott, we don't even know what time scales we're talking to, do we? Really, like you say, we've only been here for the blink of an eye. So the time it takes to fart, and in universal terms, that's nothing, man. So I mean, how old the place is? I mean, they say billions of years ago, the Big Bang. If it was a Big Bang, we honestly don't have a clue when it comes to that.
No, and you know, obviously, I mean, we see that everything goes through cycles, right? And so obviously, even our galaxy would have to go through cycles. Maybe this is just a cyclical event. Maybe these pulses come from the center of the, of the galaxy, in regular intervals, right? But they're on such massive time scales that it's something that we probably would never be able to pick up on or witness for ourselves, except for, I mean, obviously in this case, we happen to be alive when we're detecting one of these sort of events coming from the center. But who knows? I mean, who knows what kind of an effect it'll have, right? I mean, you got to figure, let's see, increased infrared, increased UV. I'm sure there's going to be increased X-ray, maybe even gamma radiation, and gamma is pretty bad. But like you said, though, Kev, I mean, is it going to be just enough to maybe tweak the DNA a little bit? I hate to bring up, comic book sort of scenario here, but I mean, like the Hulk or something, right? Hulk was hit with gamma radiation and it affected his DNA, right? So, maybe not on that level. We're not all going to become the Hulk or anything like that. But
I look like I'm transforming already, dude. I've still got that sty on my. It looks like somebody's clocked me, man. Telling you.
But a very slight change in the amount of like gamma rays and solar, like galactic particles and stuff entering, passing through the planet, that's got to have an effect on all life, right? It'll affect the DNA at some level. So it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder, man. Like you said, is it just going to cause us to have an upgrade? And obviously as a species, we would adapt to something like that, right? We're pretty good at adapting to things. And, if it's kind of a slow process, I think our bodies and our DNA would adapt to something like that too. So I don't know. It's very interesting stuff. This whole, we've got a lot of activity just going on in space in general right now. I haven't seen it so busy as far as like stuff that they're picking up, things that they're finding, stuff going on with the sun, stuff going on with the galactic center. It's wild. We're in a wild moment right now as far as space stuff is concerned.
Big time, dude. Big time. And there was something else that came up in the video from Ben, and I think it's important as well because I know along my travels I was very, very aware of looking for earthquakes at a certain depth. Now, if you do look at HARP and things like that, and you start to research it, you'll find that a lot of people, myself included, we look at the 10-kilometer depth of earthquakes as being almost like a signature. Not proof, and it's definitely not proof as we're about to hear in a minute, but this 10-kilometer depth is now starting to make a lot more sense, thanks to what Ben's about to tell us here. And again, please subscribe to Suspicious Observers. He's nearly at 500,000 subs. The guy should be at 5 million subs. Seriously.
Yeah.
School kids could be listening to this guy and picking up a lot of information. Probably not what they're going to learn in school, but highly relevant to what's going on out in space. But take a listen to this, because this is really interesting.
Story on magma depth accessible for explosive eruptions. Turns out water is the key. Too shallow and the effusive releases prevent major pressure buildup. Too deep and the hydrated rocks are softer, allowing for compression and shifting without explosive eruption. Turns out 6 to 10 kilometers down is the sweet spot.
That's really important, folks, because naturally this is a sweet spot where tectonic activity, seismic activity seems to be optimum. So with there being technology out there that looks to enhance and create these kind of disasters, then it would make sense that you would aim for the depth where it's more susceptible, more prone to things happening anyway. But that said, Scott, wouldn't you agree that that is not conclusive evidence, though, that if you see 10 kilometers deep, that there's any shenanigans? Because as we can see, this is nature's depth to do things.
Yes. So yes, just because you see a depth of 10 kilometers doesn't mean that it was triggered by HARP. It's just an optimal area where these naturally occur. Now, that being said, if you were to use HARP, or if you were to use one of these weapons, what kind of depth would you target? Well, you would obviously target the area where it would naturally occur, right? Where that sweet spot, as Ben Davidson just said, right? Because why would you? It would be a lot more difficult to trigger an earthquake in one of these weird depths where they don't naturally happen, right? You would want to just kind of take a naturally occurring thing and just kind of push it over the edge, right? You brought up the analogy of like taekwondo or actually more like jujitsu, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I think it is jujitsu, isn't it?
Yeah. So when you're taking a person's momentum and you're using it against them, right? So when they're using these when they're using these things like HARP technology or whatever.
Scott, hang on. I really am having a really weird kind of day here, man. But I'm looking at the chat. I'm bringing the chat up, and there's somebody in there called Kev Baker. He says, I think all us Kev Bakers have a positive flaw in our genetics. I googled myself and found my doppelganger. I'll join on payday. I don't know if I'm weirded out if somebody's trying to clone me or what the hell's going on here, dude. I am the real Kev Baker. I don't know how I prove this shit, but I honestly am.
If he is your doppelganger, that's going to be super disturbing, man. And remember that strange event that happened with Johnny Whistles with his cell phone?
Oh man, yeah, that's right. Oh man,
maybe that's the Kev Baker. Who knows? Maybe
that's
it's his
weird,
phone.
dude.
I don't know. This is strange. This is weird.
I'm weirded out. And somebody in the chat room, Michelle now a proud owner of a wrench. I tell you, dude, I'm like Gaddafi. Remember Gaddafi had like all the women as like his personal guard? Majority of my mods are women, man. They're all armed with like sharpened wrenches. It's absolutely awesome, right? But she was saying how much she loved Sean on Thursday. Sean Atwood. You haven't checked him out, please check him out. I'll show you his channel later in the show. But if you want to do me a favour, I know Sean had a good time, but I would love to get Sean back on for a series of shows. So let him know on Twitter. Let him know that you enjoyed him on the show, and hopefully myself and Sean can do a bit more work together, because that guy is so switched on, and I see so much of myself in him and his story. Long story, but we were kind of, I think we're about the same age. We grew up in the same era. Scott's laughing. He knows what I'm on about.
Yeah.
Scott, it was the summer of love in the 90s, dude. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the '90s was a very interesting decade, my
My
friend.
face looks like a road map today because of the shit I got up to in the 90s, dude.
I know that you guys are a little bit older than me, probably around 4 or 5 years, something like that. But
Oh,
Nancy,
Nancy, I would never assign the man gender to you. You know that. You are my divine female assassins in the mod ranks. But of course, because I don't discriminate, we've also got a couple of cool dudes in there as well. We got King Sweet, we got Just the Guy, and Shannon. He takes nobody's nonsense, dude. And there was one of my good listeners from the radio show, Jonathan in California. He says, he can't get into the chat. And I know that he hasn't been banned because I've checked today. Nobody's been kicked out or anything. But it was last week's show when we were talking about Charlie, Chico, bit of sniff, bit of Colombian. He had said something with a swear word. And I don't know if Google's banned him from the chat, but I'm going to check after the show because I know the mods would not tackle anyone for the comment he put, Scott. We don't kick people for, like, profanity. I don't mind the odd F-bomb. And it was on topic. So if anyone does find themselves getting kicked out the chat or anything, just get in touch with me on Twitter. You can get me on Facebook. You can get hold of one of the mods. And because I can guarantee you have to be pretty bad to get kicked out of this chat, Scotty.
Yeah, as long as there's no personal attacks against anyone, you're pretty much, we're free speech here, man. You're free to say whatever.
All the women are battling to be the queen in there now as well, dude. We'll be lucky if we have any mods standing by the end of the night.
Oh no, what have you started, Kev?
It's going to get funnier as we go on tonight, folks. Like I say, this is good news. Not good news, but good woo, right? When I say woo, people seem to think that takes like the importance off of things. I don't think so. I talk about galactic waves in 2012. That's woo for me. Doesn't make it any less real or more real. But not only have we got the good woo stuff like that, but we are going to descend into some priceless comedy as well, Scott, don't we?
Oh my God!
I found a priceless satire site, and I love my satire, and this is one of the better sites I've found. So, yeah, lots to come, man.
Good. Yeah, so like going back to this whole thing of the 10-kilometer depth thing, where these magma chambers lay and where we see earthquakes occurring and all of that. Yeah, it just seems to be kind of the natural depth of where this stuff occurs. It's the sweet spot, and like I said, if you were going to use something like a harp or whatever to trigger something, well, then you would that's the depth you would go for, right? It's just like if you were using weather modification, right? It's much more easy to nudge an existing storm system, right, than to try to just create one out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Think about the how much energy and how much you would have to actually do to create like a low pressure system from scratch,
as opposed to nature doing its own thing and then you taking it and enhancing it.
Yes, exactly. So you take a storm system, maybe the storm system's going to be bad and do some damage or whatever, but if you want to maybe make it a very catastrophic system, you just give it a little extra nudge. You give it a little extra push, or if you want to, maybe it's already kind of moving in the direction that where they want it to go, but it might not be all the way there, so you do a little tweaking and hit it in a certain area and cause it to maybe move in a direction more in line with where they wanted it to go or something like that. So I think that's how this weather modification stuff and this earthquake stuff works. When they decide that they're going to trigger something like that, they just can see that there's already a natural event occurring or going to occur, and then they just kind of give it that little extra push. I think that's how it works. That's pretty much how it works. They're not just creating a storm out of nowhere. They're just letting Mother Nature do most of the work, and then they're enhancing it.
John Nelson says, Mayor of San Francisco. That's that London Breed, right? Or Breed London, whatever the bloody name was. a woman
Breed.
of color, as a punishment, faces, nah, you want us to put her into the Photoshop wars. Oh, I didn't realize it was a. So, hang on a minute, is that a woman? Breed London?
London Breed.
Was it London Breed or Breed London?
It's London Breed.
London Bridge? London Breed. Dang! Yeah, that's a lady. That's her there that was banning the term felon, and you're like just a returning resident, Scott. Yeah. So John Nelson in the chat room has challenged me to like really be bad to her on Photoshop. I don't know if she's warranted an attack like that on Photoshop just yet. I don't know. I'll need to check more into this one.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a vicious attack, but John's asking. I mean, John is really looking for the worst kind of Photoshop bomb, really. But you're talking, he's going all in early, man. Usually you send a couple of volleys first, maybe a couple of cheeky memes, something like that. But no, he's wanting to go full nuclear on the meme already, man.
The meme I'm already thinking about making, the Photoshop I'm already have envisioned in my head is I got to find that picture of Gaddafi flanked by all of his like hot women, all of his hot like security elite crack troop chicks, and then I've got to put the Kevdafi face on him.
I can get, because that's weird, because when you started saying that there, I'm thinking, I wonder if Scott remembers that I've got like a Kevdafi Photoshop.
Yes, because I made it. I'm the one who put that one together, and so
how cool is it that I've got a full Photoshop Wars folder? I don't know if it's cool or sad. Where are you, Kevdafi? There he is. There's Kevdafi there. You see, folks, if you can't laugh at yourself,
you work it. I think the blending in the forehead is a little disturbing, so I'm gonna have to fix that.
Not your finest work, Scott.
No, that was back in the day.
I'm sure that'll get a laugh from the chat room. AOC's jealous? Oh, AOC has nothing to be jealous about ever, has she, Scott? Ever. Right, hang on. I'll get. This is disturbing me now. Right, Kevdafi, get out of there. Hillary got you. We came. We saw. He died. You absolute freak, Hillary. She is. Right, hang on then. What have we got up next? Right, I know what we've got up next. We were talking about 2012. We were talking about galactic waves, super waves, stuff like that. And at one point, Scott, I mentioned the fact that I think the ancients, they knew more about this shit than we did, right? I don't know why.
Yeah.
Just think they did.
I understood that there was crap coming in from the Galactic Center and all of that stuff. And they knew it, man. They just, like you said, it's like a genetic memory we have. Yeah. That's why we have this suspicion.
And then you've got this here. This is pretty cool. Because it says Egypt exposed. Okay, then. I think we've not even... See, when I look at the Giza Plateau, and as good as it is with all those like pyramids and stuff, and the Sphinx and stuff like that, still think it's like Göbekli Tepe. We're only seeing about 10% of what's really all there, right? If you were to take the sand away and shit, man, who knows what you'd start to expose.
And on top of that, I think there's an entirely different civilization that Egypt was built on top. That what they're uncovering now, I think, is on top of something even much older.
Yeah. Another like a cycle of civilization, so to speak.
Exactly.
Well, this here, I like this because this takes me back to pre-2012 stuff, and I remember a lot of talk about the Hall of Records or some kind of record of everything that would be situated under the paw of the Sphinx. And I've got an admission to make here. You know me, I wear everything on my sleeve, even when it brings kind of attacks and offence and probably abuse my way. David Wilcock, we all know in recent times I've been very vocal about my non-support of David Wilcock. But back before 2012, Scott, I've got to give the cat credit. he had pulled together all of this research from scientists, Dr. Emoto, the water experiment being one of them, various scientific sources, various ancient sources, and pretty much the way that David Icke does it, right? It puts his own spin to it and uses that as things to back it up. And I learned a lot, and it gave me a lot to research back then, listening to David Wilcock's Enigma 2012 talk. And of course, he has this shtick about how he's the reincarnation of Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, or whatever he was. You know, pretty cool dude when you look into him. Don't know if David Wilcock is the reincarnation of him. If he is, then both him and Cayce are con men. That's another story for another night. But they always used to say how, and I think it was Edgar Cayce said, you would find the Hall of Records under the paw of the Sphinx. Now it says here, secret Sphinx chambers could lead to Great Pyramid treasure. It says the Great Sphinx, in fact, have we got a clip of it here? Yeah, here we go.
Archaeologists are investigating under the statue because there are tantalizing clues that the Sphinx sits right on top of an ancient network of chambers.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, there could be a whole subterranean layer of good woo down there.
And tunnels. Usually hidden from view, a deep hole near the Sphinx's tail is thought to be connected with a large chamber beyond.
You know what used to really annoy me about Egypt?
They're entering the Sphinx's ass.
Yeah, they're going right up his sphincter. They're giving him an alien probe. But what used to annoy me about Egypt, not so much now, right? But Zahi Hawass, and I know he's not the head of the antiquities anymore, but that dude treated Egypt and the Sphinx and the pyramid as if it was his own bloody property. And I get it, he was probably making a lot of money from some of the artifacts that he was raiding from tombs and things when he was going in there before the light of day hit it and the public got to see what was there. I get it, Zawi. And you're like the keeper of secrets for the Giza Plateau. I get it. But now, you know, maybe we've got an opportunity for some kind of renaissance of discovery, Scott, you know, archaeological kind of investigation out there. Because nobody has satisfactorily ever explained any of it. They haven't. You know, they'll tell you the pulleys and the ramps and it was this and that, whatever. You know what I mean? These are the same people that tell you climate change is killing the planet, whatever. So I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I mean, modern Egyptology is a joke, right? I mean, just it's ridiculous the kind of stuff that they try to hawk on the population and to the public, right? And tell them, you know, and was it Zwahi Hawass dude? You know, he's a real scumbag. He is real.
Do you know where he
scumbag.
works now? Do you know where he works? He works for that Scan Pyramids project. Remember the one that found the void? The mysterious void, and then we heard nothing more of it. Well, imagine my non-surprise when I found out that they're like government kind of liaison, on-site kind of liaison, Zahi Hawass.
Well, then that makes sense. He's well, you know, he's obviously a gatekeeper, right? And if anything is found that is, you know, truly like unexplainable or amazing or something that flies in the face of modern Egyptology, right? He's there to do damage control, right? He's there to be the gatekeeper and to either hide it from the public or explain it away. You know what I mean? That's his job, you know? So yeah, he's a real scumbag, and you know, hasn't even he's been like either investigated or accused of like selling artifacts to private collectors and stuff like that. Yeah. You know, like real shady dealings and stuff like that. So yeah,
he's like the shadiest of the shady, man.
Yeah, he's definitely not there in the interest of actual discovery and archaeology. That those are not his intentions. So, but yeah, I mean, it is interesting that the whole Sphinx thing. The Sphinx is really old. I mean, I'm believing it could be older than the Great Pyramid, right? it was definitely underwater at some point.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Because they found evidence of water damage going up. I don't know how far up the Sphinx they found it, or where they think the water level was, but obviously we're talking about a pre-flood structure.
I think if you look at that there, I mean, I think you can pretty much see the lines all the way up it, right? I think it possibly would have been right up to its neck at one point, and it could have been beyond.
Yeah, and
So, yeah.
And face, yeah, you know, the face too. Wasn't it supposed to be a lot? They're you know, they say that it's supposed to be.
Yeah, because I mean, the whole thing's meant to be lined up towards Orion, and back when the time period when Orion would have been in the sky at that period, and you can do that using software that's out there, folks. But rising on the horizon would have been Leo the lion. So it would have made sense. I mean, it's got big paws. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It just makes sense. It was a lion at one point, and as happens, we've seen it in Syria lately with that the Foot Clan in the black pajamas and the Humvees taking down all the idols, things like that. That's what happens when new people move in, Scott. So it's probably some big cat head, and they took that off and up with whoever it's meant to be now.
You notice that a lot in Egypt, you know, with the when like a new ruler or something takes over and they deface the you know, the works of those before. They always seem to break off the nose off the faces. It seems to be a pretty common thing. And so obviously, I mean, that was done at some point too. Actually, I think the nose of the Sphinx was broken during excavation.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. So it wasn't intentionally defaced. It was more like accidentally defaced.
And I was watching one not so long ago, an Egyptian documentary, as you do on History Channel. You'd have to look hard to find one nowadays. But they were talking about a temple that was down by the Nile. Massive temple. And it's one of these ones that's carved into the rock face. And I'll try and find it in a moment. But what I was never aware of was the fact, and this is one of the greatest feats of human engineering, I think, of our time. They were able to take this whole temple, Scott, and then because the Nile, they were moving like they were building something and it was going to change where the Nile was. This temple would have been lost. So what they'd done was they shifted it up on top of a hill. The entire thing, dude.
I saw that same episode that you're talking about.
Wow, man.
Yeah, they moved everything. They moved the entire, and then they even aligned it back up so that the sun could come in as it did, you know, in its original spot. And yeah, that was an amazing feat of human ingenuity to move an entire Egyptian temple like that. That was pretty crazy.
Hang on, here we go now. Yeah, here it is. Here, this is it. Abu Simbel. And if you look at the pictures of it, I mean, folks, look, there it is. There, this is where they were actually moving it and then reconstructing it. I had never any idea that had happened.
That's pretty wild.
Did you know that had happened, though, Scott, before you'd seen that documentary?
No. I didn't know. I didn't know that they had moved an entire thing, or, you know, an entire temple. But that's cool, though. I mean, I think it's cool because
I think it's cool as well. A, we would have lost it, and B, the fact we were able to do it. Yeah,
rather than, you know, lose it to, you know, forever lose it, you know, and you know, to preserve history, we were able to do something like that. So
yeah, it's pretty really cool. Well, let's go back to this one. It says here, the Great Sphinx is a limestone statue of a mythical creature with a body of a lion and the head of a human. Stands on the Giza Plateau on the west bank of the Nile. Archaeologists now believe the colossal structure could also be sitting on a huge secret. Historian Bethany Hughes revealed during her new Channel 5 show, Egypt's Greatest Treasures, how 2 chambers found underneath the statue could lead to Khufu's unearthed treasure. She told viewers last week, generations of ancient Egyptians came to respect and fear this otherworldly creature, really believing that it had supernatural powers. I think it might have been there to represent something that at one point had what appeared to be supernatural powers, but that's just my shtick on it. Says here, and the fascination with the Sphinx shows no sign of letting up. Archaeologists are investigating under the statue because there are tantalizing clues. Oh, we like the tantalizing clues. That's better than just your average clue, Scott. But the Sphinx sits right on top of a network of chambers and tunnels, usually hidden from view. A deep hole, as myself have labelled the ass hole of the Sphinx tail, is thought to be connected with a large chamber beyond. Dr. Hughes admitted it's too early to say where the tunnels finish, but admitted it could be linked to Khufu. And she added, there's actually another smaller chamber, right at the front underneath the paws.
Ooh.
Boom. There we go. Get away from the asshole. Get under the paw. Don't be scared. Get it dug out. Get in there. The truth is, we have absolutely no idea what these were used for, but it's a mystery that researchers are currently trying to solve. Go and take Zahi Hawass, waterboard him, and he'll tell you what he found in there, because I bet you that old criminal's already raided it, Scott.
Yeah, if he hasn't already rated it, he's feverishly rubbing his hands together right now.
That, feverishly. I like that.
Yeah, he's like, oh,
it's like a gremlin, dude.
Yeah, I got still some artifacts. Wow.
Fantastic. That's probably the best kind of impersonation of Zahi I've ever seen, by the way. Hats off. I doff my hat to you, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But look, this is kind of confirmation of what everybody has been kind of saying for a long time, right? About stuff being under the paw, What
about the bad dudes back in World War II? The bad guys, they went there. They went to Egypt looking for stuff. They had that team that was like, why would you put it, like the crack troop version of Indiana Jones? They were like the SS Indiana Jones of the time. So they might have already been and
they literally were represented in Indiana Jones. Those were the guys he was going against in the movies. They were a real group.
They went to Egypt,
a real group.
They went to Egypt. They went to the Himalayas.
They went all over, man. They went to like all around the globe, man. They went everywhere. They went to Antarctica. They went to Egypt. They went to the Himalayas. They went everywhere, man. They were in search of artifacts, big time. And yeah, so and that was all under Himmler, because Himmler was super, super into the occult.
Yeah, they had that crazy castle, didn't they? And that had the black sun on the floor, and that was even represented in Castle Wolfenstein, the computer game. Yeah. So you've got to wonder what they actually retrieved. I mean, in a just world, we'd have been told everything after the end of the World War II, right? You would expect. Okay, whatever. But we only know what we've been told. And yeah, we know about paperclip, stuff like that. But some of the documents, some of the knowledge that they got from the loot, the bounty after Berlin fell, makes you wonder, Scott, just how much information, aside from the scientists, that we got from them,
Yeah. And it also makes you wonder about a lot of the technology that we have seen since World War II.
Big time.
How much of this, a lot of people chalk it up to, a lot of this technology was reverse engineered from the Roswell crash. Okay, maybe, maybe some of it. But how much of this technology was reverse engineered from the artifacts that the Nazis found? Well, that's an interesting question. What if they found high technology You know, what if they found artifacts and
The bell,
and
Scott.
things?
I think, you know, the bell, the stories we hear of it, I think that came from ancient blueprints, so to speak. Or it was built upon knowledge from ancient times. I think, anyway.
And like I said, you know, like you said, I mean, they were definitely up in the Himalayas, and
Yep.
they were up in that region, and they were very, very interested in a lot of the
It was a
Vedic
Stargate.
stuff.
Allegedly, they were after up there. It was like a big stone doorway built into the side of the mountain, and they were trying to find a way of basically taking that out, because it was said, and we've spoke about mountains before and the weirdness and the almost like interdimensional properties of them, that this was used as just that, you know, these priests and, you know, the Tibetan monks, whoever they were, they would go through this doorway off to other dimensions. It sounds crazy, right? But think of the time and the effort that the Nazis put in back in that time, you know, 1940s or 1930s. It's no easy mission.
You don't just throw money and resources into a huge operation like that unless you thought that there was really something to it. You know what I mean?
Dude.
I mean, a lot of people are like, well, you know, Hitler was just crazy. You know, he just whatever, but he, you know, he kind of let Himmler take the helm on that one. You know, he's like, hey, go do your thing. I'll give you the money and resources to do it. But they obviously believed there was something to it, and they spent quite a bit of time and effort looking for this stuff. So, you know, then we got to talk about, what was it, the Thule Society, right? The Thule Society, and how they believed they were in contact with these entities called the Vril.
You see that? Then you start linking into Thule Island, down at the like Falklands. Just one quick hop and a jump from the South Pole. The rumored origin point for the Black Goo, Scott. Come on, we can't go all that way woo tonight. But one thing before we move on from the pyramids, I want to remind people to check out this, and I don't know what to make of it. I was really excited about it at the start. Seems to have stalled. It reminds me of when National Geo or History, remember they got like the little robot to go up to the doorway, and they made like a big thing, a big premiere. We're going to open the door. We're going to try and see what lies beyond the secret shaft. This feels very much like that to me, and what I'm talking about is the Scan Pyramids program. Because it must be over a year or so ago now, Scott, that we were talking about this void that you can see there on the kind of top right along this shaft. That's meant to be some void that they found with these. And I'm not knocking the technology. I think the technology they're using is spot on. I think they were using, like, was it not LiDAR or something that they were kind of going over the whole place with? But noticeably, there's been no news out of there in so long now. So it makes you wonder, it makes me actually think, Scott, they did find something and then somebody shut it down.
Yeah. Hawass. You know, that, and so instead of calling it the Scan Pyramids Project, can we call it the Scam Pyramids
With him
Project?
there, I think we probably can.
Yeah, I think so. I think as long as
so.
he's involved, we're never going to get any sort of real information out of there. And like I said, anything that they do find that may change the, you know, that might fly in the face of Egyptology, he's going to be there to shut that down or to keep it quiet.
I'm surprised he's not got his face all over the website, because usually that guy would go to the opening of a packet of crisps if he thought there was going to be a camera there. Do you know what I mean? He just loves himself,
maybe he wants to be kind of the hidden hand in the background. Maybe he don't want his.
We like that. We like
really...
hidden hands, man. Hidden hands are cool. Hidden hands. So then, whether there's something underneath the paw of the Sphinx or not, I don't know. I think there is. But whether we get to know about it, that's a completely different thing again. So while we're talking about what ancients knew and things happening to the world, it'd be wrong, Scott, not to mention the next end of the world date.
Ah, nice.
2029. And no, it's not Paul Begley. Not yet. I'm sure. Gee, he's got 10 years of breaking news videos about this asteroid now. But this one here is called Apocalyptic God of Chaos powering towards the Earth in time for 2029.
It will come 19,000 miles.
Oh, I'm not playing them. Russia today, they've got a real habit of being like copyright Nazis. They do. More so Ruptly, they're like, it's like their media kind of wing. You see Ruptly on their videos. Don't go near any of them, dude. Wow, man. 1 second of that stuff and they'll strike you down. Know what I mean? But it says an asteroid. The asteroid, it's Apophis. We've heard of this one before. The asteroid Apophis is set to skim the surface of the planet in 2029 at an astounding distance of just 19,000 miles. Canter. 19,000 miles. Scott will get our, by 10 years from now, virtual reality, we'll probably be able to fly along with the asteroid in VR. We'll be able to do the flyby of the Earth with it. And we'll see the curvature, right? Because we're globalists. It says educational YouTube channel. Why is my alarm bells going off already? Educational YouTube channel. Second thought. Explained in a video released on Friday. Many scientists are keeping a close eye on the asteroid Apophis, which in 10 years will pass just 19,000 miles from the Earth, basically skimming the surface in cosmological terms. To put into perspective to just how close it will be, consider the fact Apophis will pass between weather satellites and the Earth. Dun, dun, dun.
That is pretty close.
That is close, dude. It is.
You know, in terms of space and on all of that, 19,000 miles is cutting it pretty damn close.
Says here Apophis, bit of a connection here, named after the Egyptian god of chaos, is classified as a potentially hazardous. Potentially,
yeah.
Just potentially, nothing to worry about here. An asteroid is given a designation if it meets a certain size and proximity to Earth threshold. And Apophis definitely checks both boxes. The God of Chaos asteroid is a whopping 340 meters across, making it one of the largest specimens to pass so close to the Earth. A specimen, Scott.
Yeah, 340 meters. That's pretty big.
Yeah, that's going to cause bad juju if it was like to hit Earth.
Yeah, definitely would be a not a good day.
13% taller than the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And the way time's going, don't worry about it, folks. Those 10 years are going to pass by real quickly. And myself and Scotty Lopez will be here. We will give you a running commentary of Apophis as it does its flyby.
We totally will. I can already see us doing it. We're going to be giving live play-by-play coverage.
And then to shut me up forever, sitting atop the asteroid will be a bloody blue chicken. You just know it, man. You just know it. It's going to be piloted by a blue chicken, dude.
We'll have to hype it up and do like a 24-hour live stream beforehand, and then be like, tune in as the god of chaos enters Earth's atmosphere potentially.
I tell you what, man. I've got like the chat app that goes up and down the side, and I don't know why it keeps on stopping working, but it does. And I'm gonna smash it in a minute, Scott, because every time I go to put the other one on, the old one decides to kick in and start working again. So I'm just having my personal battle with the chat today, okay? Not the chatters, but the chat on the side of the screen. I'll get it though. Yes, I'll tame it.
I can see you. You're in pitched Mortal Kombat with OBS and its plugins right now.
I'll whip its ass, man. I'm telling you. But what if I was to tell you? Right? NASA. We all love a NASA story. Well, imagine if NASA had to try and solve the first ever crime that was committed in space. Imagine they can't do anything right. I'd be sitting quite comfortable if I was the criminal, right?
But before, is it a forgery? Oh wait, hold on, never mind. Go ahead.
No, see, this is bona fide, dude. This is not. We're not into the satire yet. We're not there yet, folks. This is a genuine story from my least favorite news site, but the BBC. I just found this weird today. I don't know. I like space and things, but this just stood out. NASA said to be investigating first allegation of a crime in space. I was thinking somebody'd got a bit touchy-feely up on the ISS. Maybe one of these cats that's up there for 6 months, toxic male, maybe a bit of a beard on, couldn't control himself, bit of zero-G shenanigans going on. I thought maybe some, feminists had taken something the wrong way, passing the salt, touch shoulders when they're floating about, Scott. But I never for one moment thought it would be like fraud and like robbing out of somebody's bank account. What the hell are they doing up on the ISS? It says NASA is reported to be investigating a claim that an astronaut accessed the bank account of her estranged spouse from the International Space Station. And people said it was fake. You go and tell the guy who's just had his bank account dipped that it's fake. It's pretty real right now. And what may be the first allegation of a crime committed in space. Anne McLean acknowledges accessing the account from the ISS, but denies any wrongdoing. Yeah, okay, I was in a bank account that I wasn't meant to be in, but didn't do anything wrong, honestly. Oh, sorry, should be floating about. I didn't do anything wrong. Scott, if you can't get done in international waters, how the hell can you get done? Whose jurisdiction is that? Where does the ISS fall under? Is it like moon law?
Moon law. Yeah, a lunar law. I don't know.
Who knows, dude?
I guess, does it depend on what section of the ISS she was in? Was she in a section that was built by the United States? So then wouldn't that be maybe a U.S. jurisdiction?
Damn, do you think it works like that up there, man?
I don't know. I don't know how that works, right?
How do the Americans sleep for all those?
Supposed to be how
do the American astronauts sleep for all those Russian bots that must be running about the place, right? Because Russians can't go anywhere without taking bots with them. Maybe it was a Russian bot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it works. I mean, since the whole thing is a collaborative effort of different nations, do they look at the entire ISS as one kind of monolithic place, or is it, like I said, the different sections that each country, hooked onto it? Is that like their territory? It's very interesting.
Damn, so do you think the Chinese bit have got like social credit scoring, Scott? Do you think if like one of the Americans takes a pooey number 2 and the smell stinks the place out, he gets like credit points taken off him anytime he comes in to get his Chinese dinner?
Yeah, if you kind of float from the German pod into the Chinese pod, all of a sudden your social credit thing might apply. I don't know.
And if you want to find a safe space, there's going to be one in the American quarter somewhere, right? You know it, dude. There's going to be SJW astronauts up there. They've probably got like pink pussy helmets on and things. Who knows, man?
Yeah, well, it wouldn't surprise me.
But I think we should take this one further, and I think this astronaut should be whisked away to the backside of the moon, where we can have a kangaroo lunar court with who's going to be residing over the court, right? Big blue chicken.
Yes. You will be judged you will be judged by a panel of blue chickens.
Tessa brings up a good story in the chat room. Let me just dig this up. I seen this the other day. Russia, Scott, they sent up a robot to space, to the ISS. You see that one?
See, the Russian bots are everywhere, Kev.
Yeah.
You're right.
I'm not going to CNN because that's going to be highly tainted, that one. We'll try the Independent, right? It looks like look, check this out. The first rocket commanded by a Russian humanoid robot fails to dock. Oh, come on, man. It's a hit piece. Those pesky robots. But it doesn't miss again, though. The first Russian spacecraft to be commanded by a humanoid robot. Now, there's a headline I never thought I'd have been reading out on television, on YouTube, ever, okay? So I want to experience that one more time. The first Russian spacecraft to be commanded by a humanoid robot failed to dock at the ISS, Russian news agencies reported. The Fedor, Final Experimental Demonstration Object Research, Right, if you don't want robots to fight back one day, let's think of a cooler name than Fedor. The Fedor. That's a crap name for a robot. And it was on board a Soyuz spacecraft on a planned 2-week mission to support the ISS crew and test its skills. The rocket was due to arrive in the early hours of Saturday morning, but was forced to abort due to a failure with the automatic docking system. Was it a failure, or did the robot say no? I've got your spaceship. What the hell are you going to do about it? Pesky humans.
Screw this. I'm out of here. You just see the Soyuz just going off into the distance towards Mars.
It's floating about 96 meters away from the station, and officials plan to attempt to docking again on Monday. It says the Skybot. Now that's a cooler name for a robot. The Skybot F850. Cool name. That's going to get robot chicks at the robot bar called that. I'm a robo-astronaut. You're even going to have robots that are bragging about being like rocket scientists and astronauts, dude. How are you going to compete with that?
Yeah, his fellow robot friends are like, what's your name? I am Skybot F850.
Then Brian pipes up, you know what I mean? I'm Kev's chatbot. Nobody's working me tonight. If you want to work Brian the chatbot, all you have to do is press the super chat and it will be read out by our new artificially intelligent Brian. Yes. Try to find more pictures of this thing because it's an impressive piece of work. Look at that, dude.
Wow, it looks pretty cool.
At least they haven't tried to make it look human with 2 eyes and a smiley face and let your guard down. When you see that thing coming, you ain't going to be thinking that's warm and cuddly.
Yeah, that definitely has that Killbot look, though. You know, like it's scanning the area for...
I get that feeling as well, dude.
Yeah.
I do. I get that feeling. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that, see if the Russian robot makes it to the ISS or not. That'll be quite interesting.
How crazy is it that we're in a time now where you can read a headline that says, a Russian spacecraft piloted by a humanoid robot?
Scott, it's a bit like when you think, this time next year, we're realistically going to be a couple of months into talking about the first people that are hooked up to the internet via the neural link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are in that time, it's happening.
Poor Kristen in the chat. One of our first live streams, somebody thought she was a chat bot. And anytime we talk about robots or things, I think she gets sensitive because she remembers that. Imagine one of these pesky trolls coming in here and attacking one of the lead wrenchers and calling her a bot, dude. That's just, in this day and age, that's unacceptable, man. Bad juju.
Yeah, I've seen people that think that everybody on the internet is a bot.
Yeah, at some point, if you haven't been called a bot, you're not doing it right. Is that like a new unwritten rule?
I've been called a Russian bot.
I take pride in my Russian heritage and my Russian connections. I welcome it. I embrace it like my toxic beard. Yes, indeed. So moving on, we're getting closer to Naked Scottish Men. Oh, all the ladies out there will be thinking, Kevin forgot about Naked Scottish Men. I haven't. And where's the next story I have here? Because I found a follow-up, Scott, from last night's story. And last night's story I'm talking about is the one where they'd found the new Pictish stone in Scotland. Remember that one? I'll bring that one up first. Yeah. Then I'll get the other one. There's a new one to follow up, Scotty. Right, hang on. Yeah, so this was the one yesterday. With a rare 1,200-year-old Pictish stone found near Dingwall. And Nana in the chat room, she's a big fan of that show, Outlander. I think that's the name of it, Scotty boy. And it's like a Stargate up in the north of Scotland. Big hunky dude with a kilt on. You get the image, right? But that stone circle that's famous in that TV show, that's a Pictish stone circle. So this one here was a new stone they'd found. Interesting. Then my mum today sent me this story. Now, this isn't the same place, but we had like dinosaurs been uncovered not so long ago in the island of Skye, and right now it's as if Scotland's an archaeological hotspot. I don't know why. And we're not the biggest of places. A lot of history. But this one here, archaeologists find a human arm bone at Ness of Brodgar in Orkney. Now, the Orkney Islands, you've got Laird Scranton, who writes about the Dogon, and they were a tribe that moved out of Egypt into North Africa. And he actually looks at the prehistoric settlements that have been unearthed up in Orkney and Shetlands, and he ties them to the same kind of cosmology that was used and stuff like that in common, stuff in common with the Dogon, Scott. It's fascinating. So this came out 21st of August, a new bone found. And I want you to look at the size of the bone, Scott, when I show you this picture, because they say that this is a female bone from her forearm, okay? So an arm bone, right? If that came out of somebody's arm, I'm not wanting to take a slap off that. That's a sizable bone.
That's a pretty chunky, man. That's a chunky.
It says here, archaeologists digging at the Ness of Brodgar, Neolithic site in Orkney have found a human arm bone. It's unusual because not many human remains have been found there, and it's important because it should help experts understand more about the people who lived there 5,000 years ago. And it's intriguing because it seems to have been deliberately placed under a wall. The remains were found in what is called Structure 10, a temple-like building on the site. And Dr. Joe Mackenzie from the University of Bradford told BBC Radio Orkney that it seems to have been rebuilt possibly multiple times, Scott, in prehistory. It's getting weird, right? The area that we're working in now, we're basically taking off the last remnants of the remodeling. And Charlie and I were just moving one of the last slabs when I could see a tiny part of what looked suspiciously human. Charlie is Charlie Scoville, an archaeologist in London who's working as a volunteer at the Ness over the summer. If I come down here, it'll tell you the sizes involved. It says here, we're in the process of fully recording it, creating 3D models of it, doing lots of photography, in between reporting it to Police Scotland. It's human remains, so despite the fact it's probably 5,000 years old, the police always want to find out about these things. And it says it's between 8 and 9 inches long, and seems to be from the lower arm, possibly of a woman. I don't know, dude. It's hard to scale. There's nothing to scale it there, right? But that looks bigger than 8 or 9 inches.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard.
That doesn't look like an arm bone.
Yeah, I don't know. And even then, I mean, 8 to 9 inches, I think it's pretty good. Uh-oh.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Just a new subscriber to the channel, Tony Gray. That's cool. Not a member, just a subscriber, I think. I don't know. It's a new alert system, so I need to turn off things and switch them on. Leave that with me, Scott. I'll work the magic by tomorrow, but interesting, right? And not only that, multiple layers of history as well, but sounds of it.
Yeah, that's another very interesting piece of that article that they just kind of gloss over real quick and then continue on with the bone thing. They're like, this is temple-like structure has been rebuilt many times throughout prehistory. Oh, wait, what'd you say?
It's been built possibly many times in prehistory.
Yeah. So what was going on at this site, man?
I don't know. And because my camera's off now, people will be wondering, is Kev having a joint? Is Kev having a drink? Is he picking his nose? What's Kev up to? You see, that's one of the mysteries of the live stream. They just have to guess, Scott, right?
We look, me and Kev both have the ability to blip in and out of existence at will. See, I can do it as well.
Oh,
See?
Look at that. That was pretty weird. Just when Scott went away, I came back.
Yeah. So.
We're blinking each other in and out. Oh, no,
yeah,
man.
See, there we go.
Right, I think it's time to get into some of the funny stuff, dude. What do you think? I think so. Because I found a new satire site, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you right now, I know it's a satire site. And I'm not telling you these are real stories. I'm telling you they're absolute bunkum. They're made up, but they're so funny. They really are. And sometimes, Scott, I've made the mistake in the past, right? I've sometimes posted things long time ago now, not recently, of course, But I've posted the odd fake news, the odd satire one, not realised. Used to love watching things like The Onion. Remember The Onion, dude? The Onion's like... I think we'll bring up an Onion video before we go away today, because The Onion's classic. It truly, truly is. I love shit like that, man. You've got to be able to laugh in this world. If you can't laugh right now, I think there's a good chance it's going to get on top of you, man.
Exactly. And what's hilarious, though, about sites like The Onion, right, is that, you know, they mock a lot of things going on in society right now, right, by putting together satirical articles. But now we've entered such a clown world, right, that sometimes these satire articles are not too far off from the truth anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's actually, you could actually see something like that happening, you know? So it's
in a world
pretty
that
wild.
looks like idiocracy. Yeah, Scott's right. Some of the things that look like comedy probably aren't comedy. Damn. Wait a minute, just refresh the views there. You know, we're up to 240 now. We're 236. You see, we're getting there, Scott. We're getting there slowly but surely. We're climbing the ranks, man. Telling you, they just don't know what to make of our madness. They don't know what to make of it. The algorithm doesn't know what to make of us. But first story, get ready, folks. I love this one. This one had me pissing myself because it's so apt. If anyone that's taken their kid to McDonald's for a Happy Meal, you're bound to have seen something that's made you think that something like this needs to happen. McDonald's to introduce unhappy meals for young goths. It goes on to say here that fast food giants McDonald's are set to introduce unhappy meals to draw more goth children to their restaurants. McDonald's Happy Meals have been criticised for not being inclusive towards miserable children, and the unhappy meal is seen as the answer to that. Because you don't want to disclude anyone in this society, Scott. You know, miserable kids matter as well. The unhappy meal will come in a black faux leather box and include a choice of foods and drinks like spider nuggets, tombstone-shaped burgers, and ink-filled fries and black coffee. There will be no toy included in the unhappy meal, as goth children hate to play. Instead, they receive a loose cigarette, some cheap black makeup, or a Morrissey CD. The unhappy meal will hit McDonald's stores in October and will be priced at the suitably spooky £6.66. Goth children will be allowed to emotionally abuse the staff and anyone dressed like Ronald McDonald, just as any other child is.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Oh, that's brilliant.
You know, I think Burger King for real.
For reals?
For real released an unhappy meal. You might actually look that up.
Give me 2 seconds. I hope so, because that sounds pretty cool.
I think they did it.
Yep. Well, it's coming up. A pest meal? Burger King debuts on Happy Meals.
Yeah.
There we go.
See, I thought I had heard something about that.
Because no one is happy all the time.
Yeah, I think they did it as like a publicity thing for like mental health awareness or something like that. But still, they did it.
I like that.
So once again, satire ended up being reality in a weird way.
Yeah. You sometimes say the lines between fact and fiction become blurred, and they do. And science fiction and science fact are definitely blurred. But you're definitely right here as well, man. The lines between comedy and reality and idiocracy, dude. I keep going back to it. But this one here is what really caught my attention today. Being Scottish, I thought to myself, you know, absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure a lot of you out there have heard of the brilliant band. Scotland are famous for music and bands and things. But Franz Ferdinand, right? Brilliant. Get this. I was shocked when I read this. Okay, I wasn't because I knew it'd be satire, but still funny. Scotland declares World War III after the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Scotland has so it says here, Scotland has declared World War III after the assassination of Franz Ferdinand took place during a gig in Austria today. Every member of the popular Scottish rock group was assassinated by a sniper during a thumping performance. But it's okay because no members of the audience were harmed. One eyewitness told us. It all happened so fast. They were just beginning to play their other good song, which I think's funny as well, indicating they've only got the two. It all went down in a matter of seconds. The nationality of the sniper has yet to be confirmed, but that hasn't stopped Scotland from declaring a world war. And I quote from the illustrious leader, the he, she, it, they, who knows what she is. It is. I don't know. An act of violence against Franz Ferdinand is an act of violence against Scotland. They were one of our top 5 bands, and we don't know how much the Proclaimers have left in them at this point. Therefore, and it's with a heavy heart, that Scotland must declare war, said SNP leader Nicola Sturgeon. You see, folks, Scotland has a formidable army with non-traditional weaponry such as iron brew cocktails, deep-fried haggis bombs, and blinding white arses that they can point at the enemy. Yes, indeed, ladies, get your feast. There is the weapon, that Scottish weapon of mass destruction. Or is it ass destruction? Boom, boom, boom.
Is that algorithm friendly, Kev?
If you were on Twitch, see if you were on Twitch and you showed a bare ass like that, I think we'd probably be gone. And now you've got me worrying in case the algorithm over here has become a bit... Surely it can't discriminate against the male bum.
Yes, Scottish asses. I think the algorithm needs a little more training on that.
Still funny though. And of course, for anyone out there, you know, that is the traditional way. Us Scotsmen wear the kilt. And I can't even imagine what would happen, Scott, if say you were at a wedding and you found somebody that was wearing like undercrackers, as we sometimes call them here. That would just be so... I don't even know what would happen to the person, right? Because it's never happened. I've never heard of it happening. It's just, you know...
It's an unknown thing. It doesn't even register in your comprehension. It just...
Exactly, dude. It's like, who would think of doing that? That's just disgusting. What an affront to being a Scotsman. This person would be shunned forever, man. Yeah, absolute disgrace. In fact, we might even make him an honorary Englishman if they were to do such a thing. I honestly wouldn't speak to somebody again if I knew they had done that in my national dress, Scott. You know what I'm saying, dude?
It's a very offensive act, it sounds like.
Very offensive act indeed. Very.
Definitely no Fruit of the Looms under the kilt.
No, and we're almost out of time. I've got another story there, but we'll keep that for tomorrow because you can't go from that. In fact, you can't go from that and that to the story that I was going to go to, so it just doesn't work.
Nah. We'll save it.
Oh, somebody in the chat room, man, I'm pretty new here. Fave new channel. Oh, dude, that's hell. Oh, Hello says he's got this superpower like me, that he can drink and smoke at the same time. I've got absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Until I have a lawyer sitting beside me, I'm going to refrain from commenting on either of those indulgences, Scott. You know? Somebody says they're offended in the chat room. Just as well you said you were joking, because you know what? I wouldn't have given one shit. Somebody says, never been. Travis is the best Scottish band. Oh, absolutely. What happened to Travis, man? They were like flying on top of the world. And then, no, just... And we're left with the Proclaimers. The bloody Proclaimers. If they walk another 500 miles, I'm going to cry. I will literally cry. Seriously. Kev's mother is a skunk ape. I keep telling you, James, stop talking about my mum like that. It's not her fault she looks like a Chewbacca. It's terrible, isn't it? You know? Discriminating against my mum because she looks like a Chewbacca, man. It's not right, Scott. Just not right. More Scottish ladies, please. Ken, you don't want to be seeing Scottish ladies' bare bums. They're hairier than the male bums we had on the telly. It's as simple as that. See somebody saying, wow, creepy. 0 fucks given, yes. Austin, Texas, ruined indie rock. Austin, Texas? What is it about Austin, Scott? Like, it seems to be a concentration of alt media. Not that that's a bad thing, right? But it's like a hub. It's like a hot spot.
Austin is a weird place. I mean, that's literally what they're...
Chat flying.
It almost looked like Medicare's chat for just a second.
I thought we'd been like invaded by bots or something. Yes. We've done it.
Austin's like a really weird place. Like, I believe their tagline is "Keep it weird." I mean, that's literally their,
sounds like my kind of place, man. Get your weird on.
It's definitely a weird place. Like, I don't know. There's just so many different people there. So many like a whole diverse group of people there. I don't know. I haven't been to Austin in a long time.
John Nelson knows me too well. He's like, "Who are you looking out for, Kev? Flying shoe incoming." Yep. You know it. You know it, bro. You know it.
That's why Kev had to. He had to
make sure there was no. Yeah, make sure the human Alexa wasn't listening. You know.
Nervously looking over his shoulder.
Once you've been hit me with a shoe once, shame on you. Hit me twice, shame on me.
See, there's more comparisons I can make between Mexican culture and Scottish culture. The shoe.
See, I think Mexican. I'd love. Scott, I'm not even joking here, but I would like to go to South America. You've got some of the ancient kind of pyramid structures, the Aztec, all that kind of cool stuff, right? But just Mexico as well. And I don't know, man. Like you say, the people. I like boxing. And they're really, the boxers that come from Mexico and things. And I think, I don't know why, but I reckon there would be an affinity, only because Mexico are kind of in the shadow of the US. And you've got Scotland over here in the shadow of England. And you can look over historically how both sets of people have had shit to deal with. Do you know what I mean? In the face of adversity, harsh conditions. So I don't know, man. But Mexico looks great.
I think there's a lot in common between the two countries.
Like our drink. We like drinking. You know what I mean?
The cultures, are a little bit, are obviously different and but I think there's a lot of similarities though. Like I just keep noticing these similarities between the two, and I'm like, wow, I think Kev would fit in quite well if he went to like a Mexican wedding or something like that.
Or a Mexican wedding, I'd be the man. Definitely, dude. That when you see those kind of weddings, that's a Scotsman thinking, I could handle some of that.
And then, maybe you could try to, woo the Latin women with your Scottish accent.
A drone in the chat room. Welcome. Drone free zone. Damn, dude. You going by your Superman name tonight, Aaron? I like that. That's pretty cool, man. Loving it over here. Great fun tonight. Myself and Scotty. Bit of laughter. Bit of deep woo with the whole Galactic Center thing. Stuff like that. We've had bare Scottish assholes on the screen just to keep the ladies happy. Nothing like a naked Scotsman to keep the ladies happy, Scott, It's one thing looking at us two handsome devils for an hour and a half, but you need to break it up with something, right?
Yeah, it was very sort of ass-centric today. We had the Sphinx's ass, we got Scottish asses. It's just
Somebody in the chat room says Mexican and Germans have a lot in common. Beer and accordions, for starters. Mexican music as well, man. Knows like a bit of Mexican music.
Yeah, I noticed like European sort of folk music, polka music, whatever you want to call it. Very similar to Mexican music.
I could picture you Mexicans going crazy for a piper, like bagpipes at a wedding. You dudes would love that, man.
Oh my God, Mexican weddings are out of control, dude. They are out of control. Like, they'll hire bands, mariachi bands to come in. And like we have these people that live down the road from us, man, and they always have like quinceañera parties for people in their family turning, girls in their family turning 16 or whatever.
Didn't even put the camera off this time, Scott. Nobody gets to guess. I'm just going to have a puff of a joint since we're near the end of the stream anyway.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. You're good.
Just don't want to encourage all these children we get watching the show, Don't want to be a bad influence on anyone out there. Toxic male that I am.
We could just call it an alleged joint.
Crisis joint.
Crisis joint.
Crisis joint.
Yes.
Right, so we'll be back tomorrow, folks. Want to thank the new members. Awesome stuff. Want to thank the PayPal, Mr. or Mrs. or whatever you identify, Pearson. Thank you for that. And myself and Scott will be back tomorrow. Hopefully, Kev's going to get his ass whipped later by Anne. Oh, only if she heard me. Only if she heard me, John. Only if she heard me. But if she'd heard me, she'd have done me by now. But no, we'll be back tomorrow, won't we, Scotty boy? What are we going to get into tomorrow, man? I want to really tear shit up. I want to rip something apart. We'll have a laugh. We'll have a joke. We could get into the reptilian royals because they need a good shoe in right now, man. Yeah, we've got lots to talk about on them.
I'll try to dig some stuff up. I'll see if I can find some stuff tonight or find some stuff tomorrow. Well, it ain't going to take very much to get us going on something, I'm sure. You know how we are.
Dude, we could talk about anything. And if all else fails, I'll just fire up No Man's Sky and I'll prove to everyone that we're living in a simulation, right? Because we are. It's a simulation. Yeah. But Kev, that means you're trying to say like things aren't real and it's just a game. No, it's very real. In fact, it's so real it is real, but it doesn't mean it's not a simulation. So I'm going to prove it one time, Scott. I'm going to get outside the matrix, man. I'm going to do it. Yes, nice. Indeed. So then, for another week, we will let you get back to it. Remember, check out my good friend Unirock here on YouTube as well. He'll always keep you up to date with everything that's going on the tubes, on the Twitter, and get a good laugh in there with a lot of the same people that you see in the chat here today. That's what I really like about, the fact that got in tow with Uni. He's been really gracious. His mods have come over here mixed with our KBS crew, and it's all happily ever after. We all chant and we drink from the Kev Kool-Aid, and we just sit here. Never, Scotty boy, never. If it ever turns out like that, that's it. We're out of here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was getting a little creepy. The Kev Kool-Aid.
Kev Kool-Aid, man, not good. It almost sounds like a Q-Aid, and I reckon within a few months, there might be a few of them drinking the Q-Aid, man. I'm telling you, I worry about these people. I truly do. But that is for another stream. So for another week, for another night, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Hopefully with Joe Joseph, who knows? But if not, myself and Scotty will be here, never fear. Remember on Monday on the Kev Baker show as well, going to simulcast again, I think, because I've got Big Ben Emlyn Jones on. And Ben, he's another YouTuber like me, so be able to swell the numbers, and we'll see what happens. But only maybe 1 or 2 shows a week I'm going to simulcast at the most, because I still try to encourage people, please go to tfrlive.com, the home of the Kev Baker show, and so many other great shows on there as well. You're bound to find something that you like, and lots of stuff that you disagree with as well, but that's okay, because that's what's different about TFR, isn't it, Scott? Something for everyone. Plus, there's a level of respect, right? I mean, we don't all agree at times. In fact, rarely do we agree. But that's okay, because it's all right to disagree.
Yeah, it's such a wide diversity of shows and topics that are talked about on TFR. That's kind of the brilliant thing about it, right? The Chris and Sheree Geo set up a true sort of open platform for anybody that has an opinion on something, right? So we don't agree with all of the, we don't agree with everybody on there, but that's the whole point. It's a differing opinions.
It's not an echo chamber, that's for sure. Definitely isn't an echo chamber.
No, it's not. There's definitely is not an echo chamber at TFR. So but that's what's cool about it. That's what's cool about it.
some cool music to take us out as well, man. And this music, that makes me remember, this music, usually you hear it on a channel called Memology 101. I couldn't remember where I'd heard it, and it came on me before the show today, and I said, Scott, you need to check out Memology 101. So check that channel out. Remember, check out my good friend Unirock. Subscribe to both his channels. Follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, and right here on the YouTube. Hit the bell. Hopefully the algorithm will be feeling nice and it'll recommend and tell you when I'm coming on and things. But you know what the algo's like, so always best to check every weekend for the start time. But it's usually 1 a.m. in the UK, and that is 8 p.m. on the East Coast and 5 p.m. on the West Coast. Until tomorrow, later, y'all. And stop dreaming about Scottish bums, you naughty, naughty ladies.